So what about the approval of the minutes?
So we need to approve the work study and the council minutes, and then in the morning, I will have one of the gentlemen that works for the town of Danville.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the work study minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Take a vote.
Tom Pato. David Winters. Greg Van Leer.
Aye.
Nancy Levitt. Chris Gerald.
Motion's been approved 5-0. I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
I move that we approve the meeting minutes from last meeting.
Second.
Motion is second. Take the roll.
Pato. David Winters.
Aye.
Greg Van Leer.
Aye.
Nancy Levitt. Chris Gerald.
Aye.
Motion's been approved 5-0. Thank you. Public comments.
I've received no request to speak tonight.
Okay, thank you, Mark. In the public meeting, A, wishes to be heard for street closures. Kelly Benedito. D. Benedito.
Kelly D.
Kelly D.
Thank you.
I see you had a successful gathering the other day on the square.
Weird.
Thank you.
Tour of the square.
So, as you know, the Chamber has hosted the Community Awards Dinner since 1991, looking back at my plaques in my office. And it's become a pretty special thing. And then through the years, we have actually, last few years, have combined with the Kiwanis and the Rotary to hand out those awards. It was previously held in December. Last year, I moved it to September, and we held it out at the Cartilage Barn, and it was a beautiful evening. This year, I'm coming to you to ask you for a new location of the Community Awards. If you look on the front page of this, at the bottom, you'll see a couple of examples of the one on the left was actually a prom, which kind of prompted this idea. Held outside on the square under the lights. And so I'm asking to close down between Jefferson and Washington, Marion Street, for the evening on September 25th. And if I could possibly have the use of the lights across, the Christmas lights for that evening as well.
September 25th.
September 25th. We've gotten all of our members that serve food and beverage on the square involved. Courthouse Grounds will be doing the salad. Mayberry Cafe will be doing the main course. The dessert would be Danville Dips and Reds, and they're considering doing like a Sunday, donut Sunday. Central Normal Tap will be doing the drinks. And then at late night, the Royal Theater will be doing popcorn and snacks.
Any comments?
Are the lights ours or are the lights the county? They're ours, okay. Yeah.
I like it.
Great idea.
We have a couple of good ideas. That's good. Anybody make a motion here?
I'll make a motion that we approve the street closure request from the Chamber of Commerce.
I second it.
A motion and a second. Please take the roll, Jenny.
Tom Pato. David Winters.
Aye.
Greg Van Leer.
Aye.
Nancy Levitt. Chris Gerald.
Motion's been passed 5-0. Enjoy your day.
Thank you very much. You guys have a good
welcome.
evening.
Two.
You're welcome. Okay, B, Community Crossing Grant, Malin Heron. Malin.
Malin.
Well,
It's
of course.
okay.
it's
I'll
Malin.
answer to anything. What'd you say?
I said you're over 2.
Did you give them a copy of the letter? So what we have is, they require a signature, but they want one, and they can't take the clerk treasurer, and so everybody has to sign it and date it. And then I will turn it into NDOT. And then, we'll be applying for the remainder in July.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do we have,
Thank you for all your work that you do on that.
Thank you, welcome.
are we going to sign it now?
We have to pass it, right?
Yep. You wanna make a motion?
Yeah. I'll make a motion that we sign the Community Crossings Grant letter at the request of Malin Heron.
Second?
Motion and second. Jenny, please call the roll.
Craig Van Lier.
Aye.
Nancy Levitt. Chris Gerald. David Winters. Tom Pato.
Aye. Motion's been passed 5-0. Thank you very much.
We sign it? Okay.
Yes. Sign it now.
All that as well? Come on. Ready? That's good. Thank you.
Grant-wise. One is wise. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. Ordinance 10, 2021, wastewater bonds. Clerk Treasurer.
So Zach with TAF Law is here this evening, and Kent Elliott with Banning Engineering, and of course Matt, to present the ordinance.
Good evening. Just for clarification, that it's ordinance 1021 for waterworks improvement projects. So before you, my name is Zach Klutz with the TAF Law Firm, and we're serving as bond counsel for this project and this bond issuance. This bond ordinance authorizes bonds in the not to exceed amount of $18 million to fund the waterworks improvement projects that are described on Exhibit A to the bond ordinance. It's my understanding those projects or the scope of the projects have been approved at a prior meeting. The $18 million represents the total amount of the project, but I think our calculations with your financial advisor show that the bonds will actually probably be issued in the amount of about $12.5 million. We anticipate issuing, if this is passed at the next meeting, bond anticipation notes in the approximate amount of between 1.8 and 2 million, and that will provide for initial costs and expenses prior to the project breaking ground, so to speak, engineering, permitting, bidding and design primarily. In terms of the terms of the financing, the bonds or the bands will not exceed 5 years, and the interest rate will not exceed 5%. Our initial indications of interest from local banks show that the interest rate will likely be below 1.5%, and we will likely only have those outstanding for 2 years or less. Once the bonds are issued to take out the bond or the bands and to pay for the balance of the project, those will be for a period not to exceed 25 years and an interest rate not to exceed 5%. We anticipate that rate being much lower, similar to the bands. In terms of timing, we would anticipate selling the bands shortly after this ordinance is passed, if it's passed at the next meeting. So likely close before the end of July. And then the bonds would be issued probably sometime in 2022, early 2023. So happy to answer any questions on the financing terms or the ordinance. I know Kent's here if you have any questions on the project.
Just a real quick question on the 2-year bond participation notes, that those are a fixed rate and not a
It
variable?
would be a fixed rate,
Thank
correct?
you.
Yeah, I mean, that's all the indications of interest. We're passing a term sheet around, and I don't think there was an option for variable.
Okay. I'm familiar with municipals, just not bands, so.
Yep.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
so we're issuing these, we need, the town needs the, some funding for the soft cost,
Yep.
so.
Anybody else? And you finished?
I am, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Does not require a vote for tonight, so we're on to the next ordinance. Ordinance 15, 2021, off-road vehicles.
Good evening. I come before you tonight with ordinance 15, 2021, which was introduced at our last meeting. You asked for some changing in the wording on the additional regulations, which is page 3. We changed it to each occupant shall have and use a separate seat in or on a permitted off-road vehicle. So those changes were made, and this comes up for you tonight for discussion and possibly a vote. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from anybody?
I did have just a quick question. I know that the golf carts have to be, I'll say, registered. Same with the off-road vehicles?
Not by us. We can't
Oh.
regulate them because they're regulated through the state of Indiana.
After I asked the question, now I remember the answer.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion that we pass ordinance number 15-2021.
Second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Jenny, please take the roll.
Greg Van Leer,
Aye.
Nancy Levitt, Chris Gerald, David Winters.
Aye.
Tom Pato.
Aye, motion's been passed 5-0. Thank you very much, Mark.
Yes. Would you like me to actually start this on Mr. Gerald's end? That way it works its way down to you since you have to
Oh, that's
attest.
a good idea.
Thank you.
No, we want you to go down there.
Chris, you just got fired.
Probably so.
Clean them.
Okay, next is ordinance 16, 2021. Request for annexation, 569 North, CR 300 East, public hearing.
Wait just a second, Tom.
We're signing the.
Thank
We're
you.
still signing.
Welcome.
We have slow signers. Ordinance 1621. Lisa, you want to come up, give us a chat?
Good evening. This ordinance was introduced at the last meeting, June 2nd. It is for annexation of approximately 138 acres on County Road 300 East, south side of 100 North. It is a public hearing, so the petitioner is here from Lennar. If you have any questions for him, he's also prepared a PowerPoint presentation. If you're interested in seeing that, it's very short. I think it's like 4 or 5 slides. So, but there is someone here from Lennar.
Okay, I'll gavel the public hearing open. The public hearing is open. Does anybody like to speak? Would anybody like to speak? Okay, hearing is closed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, the next one is ordinance 19 for annexation. It's at 306 Lawton Avenue. This property is owned, it's actually two separate pieces, and one piece is in the town and one is in the county. So this is, annexation is to try to get it all into the town. And this is public hearing as well, so it will need to be gavelled open.
Okay, public hearing is open. Any comments, please? No comments? Public hearing is closed. Thank you very much,
Thank
Lisa.
you.
Ordinance 2021. Amendment to ordinance of 12/2021. TIF fund allocation, clerk treasurer.
So I had presented to you guys ordinance 12/2021 to establish a TIF district at the main allocation fund for the downtown area. And using fund number 480, you guys had approved it, passed it. When I went to work with our accounting software to enter everything in and the state, it was found that we had used that number 25 years ago for the PROC donations that we used to receive. So it was inactive, so we didn't catch it because it was inactive everywhere. But TAF law found that we can't use it. So this ordinance is replacing that fund number with 485. And as far as Brenda Courtney and I can tell, that number's never been used. And I am requesting that you guys do suspend the rules this evening and pass it, because we have to have all of this entered by June 30th, because we will start receiving the first property tax revenue this month.
Okay. I'm suspending the rules.
I'd make a motion that we suspend the rules to address this correction.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do I have a vote?
Greg Van Leer,
Aye.
Nancy Levitt,
Aye.
Gerald, David Winters,
Aye.
Tom Pato.
Okay, motion's been passed 5-0. I will suspend the rules. And we will vote.
Make a motion to pass ordinance 20-2021, amendment to ordinance 12-2021.
I second it.
Motion and second. Jenny, take the roll.
Greg Van Leer, Nancy Levitt,
Aye.
Chris Gerald, David Winters, Tom Pato.
Aye. Motion's been passed 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. And thank you, Nancy, for being here in person, even though you just had surgery.
All right. Signing.
Nancy's handwriting with a cast on her hand is better than all of ours.
It probably is.
That doesn't surprise me.
See, I'll sign left-handed.
There you go.
I just did.
I'm ready.
Okay. Resolution 17-2021, electronic meeting participation. Town manager.
Good evening. I present you Resolution 17-2021. This is a resolution that will allow the five of you to attend meetings electronically. At the last work study, we had discussion on some provisions that you requested, and we have made those provisions. They include no more than 4 meetings of an electronic attendance. You must notify the council president. Everything else, again, was identical to everything that you asked for.
Thank you. Any comments? Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve, excuse me, Resolution 17-2021.
Second.
Motion is second. Jenny, please take the roll.
Greg Van Leer,
Aye.
Nancy Levitt,
Aye.
Chris Gerald,
Aye.
David Winters.
Aye.
Tom Pato.
Motion's been approved, 5-0. Thank you. Resolution,
Yes.
Resolution 18, 2021, opting out of the opioid litigation.
Come before you tonight with Resolution 18, 2021. There's not a lot to be said about this. We believe it's in our best interest to opt out of the state of Indiana's lawsuit and move forward with a national one that we've been involved in for quite some time. And we think it's in our best interest to stay with that. If it turns out that it isn't, we have 60 days to opt back in. But right now, we do believe it is in our best interest to opt out.
Any comments?
Well, just to clarify, you're opting out of the settlement that the Attorney General may be entering into for the state of Indiana. So in an effort to try and get a global settlement, the defendants want to make sure that nobody else can bring another claim afterwards. So you have the claims that have been filed. So Danville is one of the municipalities in the state of Indiana that's filed their own claim. The Attorney General has an action against the distributors as well. So in the Attorney General's settlement, whatever that might be, will cover all municipalities in the state of Indiana unless you have filed and you opt out of that settlement. The benefit is the Attorney General in the state of Indiana is not going to be controlling those funds because that comes to the state. Your funds are going to be separated out for you unless there's additional legislation later, which we'll see.
So I guess in theory, by opting out and just focusing on the national one, we could get more payout on that.
It will be based upon the damages that we're able to prove up for the town of Danville as opposed to some formula that the state puts
Gotcha.
together.
All right. Any comments? Motion? Have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 18, 2021, to opt out of the opioids settlement.
I'll second it.
Motion and second. Jenny, please take the roll.
Greg Van Leer.
Aye.
Nancy Levitt.
Aye.
Chris Gerald.
Aye.
David Winters.
Aye.
Tom Pato.
Aye. Motion's been passed, 5-0. Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Date already in there? Thank you.
I'm sorry, what? Okay. Okay. So you need a copy of it or the original? Okay. And then Jewel, I have a question for you. Depending on who prepares ordinances and resolutions, because we have several people who do those from department heads to you guys. Some of them will say Jenny Piercy, some of them will say Jennifer I. Piercy, and some will say Jennifer Piercy. I just want to make sure that it's okay that I'm signing these as they're stated, which would be, for example, Jenny Piercy. You know what I'm saying? When I'm signed with the state as the clerk treasurer is Jennifer I. Piercy.
Yeah, it's probably best that we get it standardized. So
Okay.
we'll make sure everything that comes out of our office then is Jennifer I. Piercy.
Okay.
But you are still
Okay,
fine
yeah.
because you are the clerk treasurer, and so,
Yeah.
so long as we know that it is actually you executing it, that will be okay.
And Greg just brought up, he is Gregory.
Okay,
On legal documents.
okay.
I can send an email tomorrow.
Then I'm going to ask, okay, are we going to do Gregory, Thomas, and Christopher, or?
He's really John.
John?
So sorry.
Just keep doing it the way you're doing it.
So I'm John Thomas Pato, but everybody calls me Tom.
Okay. So long as we know that you are the elected official, we're fine, and it's okay, but we'll want to be consistent with the way we do it.
Maybe he calls me John.
Courtney. Can you hand this to Joel, please, to sign? I'm sorry.
All right. Capital expenditure, state certifications.
Good evening. January, our NPDES permit's going to expire. So what this is doing is going to allow Banning to prepare the new permit application. So they're in the process of doing that. It has to be in 180 days before it expires, which puts us about the middle of August to get that all done and sent in to them. So this is just allowing Banning to go ahead and prepare that permit process so we can get in and get it done ahead of time.
Any comments?
I went ahead and gave Tony permission to go ahead and move forward with this because he was under a time crunch. This is to clean things up.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the capital expenditure or approve the capital expenditure.
Second.
Motion is second. Jenny, please take the roll.
Greg Van Leer?
Aye.
Nancy Levitt?
Aye.
Chris Gerald?
Aye.
David Winters?
Aye.
Tom Pato?
Aye. Thank you. The motion's been passed 5-0. Next on the agenda
Turn this
is
one in when we turn in, you turn in your
staff
plan.
and council. Let's have Mark. What do you got to say today?
A lot. The water department is still working on their test well. As of Monday, they were at 75 feet. He had to work on a water valve, 6-inch water valve that served North Elementary. It was leaking. They'll be making the repairs. He's been working in Kensington subdivision, installing meters, checking for water leaks in their distribution system. He's done a second round of back T water samples for Total Coliform. And he's working in Camden Creek subdivision, inspecting water mains, meter pits, hydrant installation. Wastewater's been working at 216 High Street on a sewer main lateral repair, doing lift station checks, a wet test, control panel cleaning, replacing cooling fans and filters. They ran the belt press for 3 days, and they've been mowing easements. You should have the police department's report at your seats. Fire department, they were actually dispatched all the way out to Kirk Drive in Indianapolis. If you're not familiar, that's near GFS. So they, as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, Indianapolis EMS is struggling to find ambulance personnel. So there's a trickle-down effect. It's, we're responding farther and farther out. They had a water-related injury or near drowning in a pool, 1 working cardiac arrest. They assisted on 2 working residence fires and responded on 2 chemical spills. Those are all the reports I had from the department heads that were sent to me. We did meet in person this week with the department heads. We had lunch at Los Patios. It was a nice gathering for everybody to get together. I am seeking consensus from the council tonight for 2 different things. Our contract, our RFP with NFP Insurance is up at the end of this year. So I'd like to go ahead and get the RFP process started so that we can meet Jenny's deadlines for some budgeting processes, have have them come in and make a presentation to you like we did 3 years ago.
Got a general consensus on that?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
And then lastly, it doesn't take a whole lot of my time, but I always like to check with the council before I agree. AIM has asked me to be the chairman of the Public Safety Policy Committee again for the next year. I'm happy to do it. I enjoy it. My experience in police and fire, I think I lend something to the panel. Like I said, we don't meet a whole lot, not a whole lot's done, but I do have some insight to most of the issues. So with the council's consensus, I'd like to serve again.
We have consensus? Yep.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mark. Comments from the staff? Let's start with Jenny.
I just would like to share, as you guys are aware, unfortunately, I had to take an ambulance ride Monday, and I was transported to IU West Hospital, and I just want to commend Matt Templeton. He was the paramedic on duty, Deacon Fowler, and Rob Roberts. It was amazing to me. I was in a full-blown, I was positive I was dying any minute, and I kept telling them that as I'm screaming, crying. And they had these masks on, and they're still, you know, in COVID mode. And Rob was able to get me calmed down. My heart rate and blood pressure was quite out of range, and they were able to do that. And I was rolling into IU West Hospital, the ER physician met us, and he was talking about how much respect he has for the fire chief and the whole department, and that I was just really impressed as they were, you know, going from the paramedic to the nurse and doing the stats and everything, that they just worked well together and had very nice things to say about the Danville Fire Department. So I wanted to share that since unfortunately I experienced it firsthand. I was very impressed and very, very appreciative, Rob, if you would share that with. And it just happened to be, is his name Deacon? Am I right? Okay. Just happened to be that poor guy's first day. So thank you, Rob.
Yeah.
And did they fix you? I guess
They fixed me. Well, that's debatable. I'll let you know in a couple weeks. I'm still heavily medicated. As I wean off of it, I'll let you know.
Thank you. Greg Van Leer?
Oh, since our last meeting, I had a meeting with a gentleman. His outfit, I think, was out of Texas, and he approached me about plighted and abandoned property in the town of Danville. I met with him via Zoom, and the gist of it is that his organization collects or sets an ordinance, or helps us set an ordinance to make it mandatory for individuals who own property that's either abandoned or in foreclosure, that they have to register with the town and pay a fee in order to do so. And then they receive a cut of that fee. So it really wasn't the kind of meeting that I was expecting, and I told him I would get back to him for sure. So that's all I have to report right now. Thanks.
Thank you, Dave.
Yes, I do, Mr. President. I'm told we can say anything we want at this particular time, so I'm going to take some pleasure or not pleasure, just to say a few things that I would like to get out there in the public. I know it's not, school is going to be starting before we know it, even though it just ended a couple weeks ago. And we're already starting to get into that mode. And I know we have zero influence over what the school's decisions are, but I know that at their next meeting, they're going to be making a decision with regard to masks. And I, for what it's worth, and I'm speaking for myself, not for the council. I want to make sure that's clear. I hope that the school board decides to make those optional this coming year, especially when we're considering that students are the least vulnerable segment of our population. And they did a really good job this last year, the school did, in keeping school open, kids healthy and things of that nature. But I saw firsthand with a little girl, the devastation. You know, she loved school at the beginning of the year. Within a few weeks, she was crying in the car because she hated the masks. And in my personal, not so humble opinion, they're absolutely ridiculous for kids that age. And so, for what it's worth, it'll never get to them, but I think Governor Eric Holcomb ought to follow the lead, as some other governors have, and make them, basically ban them from public schools, just simply because of the low rate of infection, the low rate of death, especially in that segment of the population. So, for what that's worth.
Thank you, Dave. Nancy? Chris?
I don't really have any comments, but how are the numbers at the pool? Because I've driven by there and you could walk across the people that are in the pool.
It started really slow though, probably a week and a half.
How you're
Old, but now it's picking back up. Yeah, it looks good right now. We had pretty good pre-sales. You know, people are ready. Some struggles with that mass coming. Getting through.
good. That's all I've got.
Mr. President, can I make one clarification on my comment? I said something about the governor banning masks. I did not mean that. I meant making them optional. I think people should still be able to wear them if they want to, so for what that's worth.
Had that written down, so.
Yeah, I know.
And Mr. President, I had one more comment. I had spoke with Nancy last night, and her and I had a very good chat, and I'm glad that she's recovering nicely post-surgery.
All right. So, no more comments. Claim dockets. Any comment on the claim dockets or motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the claim docket.
Second.
A motion and a second. Everybody okay?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Claim dockets are approved.
Yes, please. Payroll and general.
I think while they're signing, we can.
Make a
get
motion to adjourn.
Somebody to.
Okay.
A motion second. Do I have a consensus that we close the meeting? Aye. Meeting's closed. Thank you very much for coming tonight.
The state told me that it's okay. We're in the process.